My mother was very physically abusive, and she hated me and rejected me. Sometimes she would say, I wish you were never born. I thought it was God, but it was not God.
You thought God saying to you
that I'm horrible and I should just die.
Because God didn't love you in your mind.
Yeah.
What was the beginning that you started pursuing God? Sherry De Wilde had a really tough upbringing, and she looked for love, and yet she didn't want it when it was available to her. How do you step into something when you have felt rejected all your life and you're protecting yourself from that ever happening again? Sherry, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you ended up in a mental institution.
Yes.
And your family actually brought you there.
Yeah.
How did you get there?
Well, I was having panic attacks and just hearing voices that I'm horrible, just a lot of self-hatred talk.
So tell me a little bit more about that. How old were you at that point?
Well, that was like 2012, 2013.
All right.
So like 10 years ago.
About 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and that you heard those voices daily, all the time, those thoughts coming in.
Yes, and I would like walk in circles and just try to fix my past and just like physically hit myself in the head and just be like, I'm just hearing I thought it was God, but it was not God.
You thought God saying to you
that I'm horrible and I should just die and I should fast myself to death, and that would somehow save my children. And I would pray marathon prayers and sleep maybe 2 hours a night and then get up and just walk in circles and just try to when you have panic attacks where I'd be like,
those panic attacks, was that when you were walking in the circles and were mulling it over more and more and more?
Rehearsing my past and just...
What is it that you were rehearsing about your past?
Mistakes.
Like what kind of mistakes are we talking about here?
Gosh, I really blanked out a lot of that, but just like, I did this wrong, I said this wrong, just I should have done this, I shouldn't have been with my ex-husband because I had left him.
You're talking regret.
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 Thank you.
Now, you have come a long way, a long way. Let's go a little bit to your childhood. What was your upbringing like?
It was very rough. My mother was very physically abusive, and the worst part was she hated me and rejected me as a baby even.
Now, as a mother and a grandmother, that is hard for me to imagine.
Yeah.
But I've heard it before, so I know it's real.
Yeah.
So how did you know, what did she do? How did you know that happened?
I saw it in her eyes, and just sometimes she would say, I wish you were never born, you're ugly, I hate you. But it was really, I know now, it was the devil, the enemy.
Yeah.
It said that to her, and so it was just coming out. And
now, when you heard those things over and over and over again, because it was not just you, is that right? Was that your sister as well?
Yes.
So you heard the same thing over and over again. It sounds like she was a very unhappy woman.
Yeah.
So what did you do to start protecting yourself at such a young age?
I was highly trained to pick up any kind of rejection or anger, and as soon as I would sense it, I would hide in the closet, just wait for things to smooth over. Most of the time we spent outside anyways. It was in the morning outside, come in for lunch, and then outside until my father got home.
Wow, and your dad, everything changed when your dad was home?
It was like, he was there, but he was an orphan himself, so he didn't really pick up. He was a workaholic, so.
Drown the pain.
Yeah.
Drown the pain. So here you grow up.
Yeah.
Were you grown up, because this happens everywhere today, so did you grow up in a Christian home or not, or they had never heard about Jesus?
Right. I don't know. We did maybe a couple Easters or Christmases in church, but we didn't grow up in a faith-believing home of any kind. More hippie.
Fun,
Yeah.
fun. As an outsider, it looks fun.
Yeah.
You know. So here you are. You grow up, and now you're in a mental institution.
Right.
Your family got you in there because you said you were walking circles.
Yeah.
Everything's falling
Having
apart.
panic attacks where I'd be like.
So did they drug you out? How did they help you there?
They called EMS, or had me committed the first time with a family attorney friend. So I think it was like 3 times in the mental institution. First time was 3 weeks. And then they gave me medication that I would take while I was there, but I didn't. It was a really hard place to be because you can pick up all these spirits on everybody, and it feels like you're a lamb but with a bunch of wolves, because there's like, I'm already seeing in the spirit realm, I think, is what was happening. I was seeing the evil spirits and hearing them, and then seeing them in other people. So it was really hard being in the mental institution.
So while you were in that mental institution, I can only imagine, because instead of having the individual cases, now you have them all together.
Right.
And then the anxiety attacks and all that. So what did that look like? Because that's supposed to help you, right?
Yeah, but I was just so glad to leave.
Yeah.
So.
And were you looking for love, real love at that time already? Or what was going through you? Or you didn't even know?
No, I didn't know. I didn't even realize, that I just thought there was something wrong with me. Now I've realized I was hiding the fact that I was rejected. Like, there's something really wrong with me. So I had that very walled up because I didn't want to see that, and I didn't want anybody to know. Obviously, something very wrong with me because my own mother rejects me. So
right.
I believe that.
And I want to address that to you for a moment, because there are so many people that you think there is something wrong with yourself, and something that you know should be for you is not given to you, like a mother's love. So if that is you right now, I encourage you to know that Jesus never planned that for you. That was never supposed to happen to you. But there is a good news, because you have a body, you have a soul, and you have a spirit. So you start disconnecting from what is for you, which the devil plan is for your life, instead of running what can help you and actually save you in those moments. So in the next section, we're going to actually talk and find out, what is the solution when there seems to be none and everything is falling apart around you? And yet there's always a solution, because God will never, ever give up on you. So how do you step into that love that you don't even know how to receive? If you want to talk to us, we'd love to hear what you think about that. 855-515-5550, or go to barbtv.org. And know this, that God doesn't want to leave you to never feel loved. We will be right back.
Are you ready to inspire and change lives? You can make a difference for a better tomorrow. God created you for more. You matter. There is an unprecedented pandemic of forgotten hearts. You can bring hope and answers. Inmates feel alone, afraid, and abandoned. Now is the time to find, to stand, to change, and transform lives. God loves them unconditionally. Adopt a Champion empowers inmates to be a champion within themselves, within their family, and in the world. There are 3 ways you can help. Become part of our team, pray, and donate. Together, we can make a difference. You can start today. Go to adoptachampion.org.
Sherry De Wilde repressed all her emotions for many, many, many years of feeling so rejected, and all she longed for was the love of a mother. How do you turn that around when you don't even know how to handle it yourself? You're in that institution, not working at all. you get out? Did you ever start searching for love in men, in other people, in whatever? How did you fix it?
Yeah, I think I had definitely looked for it in relationships, having a best friend, being codependent. All these things I found out later. I just kind of really just struggling through life without knowing, what's there, what's missing, and.
Now, were you able to love your own children? You have several children,
Yes,
right?
2.
Were you able to love them when you were never taught how to love?
Yes, I did, and very close love. Both my sisters are able to love their children as well.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
So, at one point, you end up marrying the first man. Was that early on just to be able to get out of the house, or what did that look like?
Well, I met him in France.
Oh, how fun.
When I was in college, I went to France, and he came here kicking and screaming because French don't really like America that much.
True, very true.
They love their culture, they love their
Yeah.
country. But I met him, and my daughter was born there, and so he was he was a rock and roll singer, and he was used to like a lot of women and just kind of that kind of lifestyle, very cultural, which I loved.
I assume there were some problems in the marriage.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, with the other women and stuff like that.
So did you stay with him, or did you leave, or what ended up happening?
Yes, he actually had another girl that he wanted to be with and decided to leave me and our 2 children. My son was born in America, and there were 8 and 5 at the time.
And you're not looking at this time for God in any way, shape, or form because God doesn't love you. Is that right?
Well, I had a experience where I became a Christian, and then I kind of faded away when I was like 19 or 20. And then when I met him, I wasn't following the Lord at all. And so I started coming back while I was married to him.
Okay. I love the process that God usually used to draw his people to him.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear, I know the Lord did something in your life, that things turned around. So did you remarry again?
So I remarried to Alaskan native who moved next door to me in Michigan, where I was living. He came along and has a great call of God on his life, and he's super
awesome.
Christian. And he also had a drug and alcohol problem.
Did you know that at the time you were getting married?
I did, but he put himself in Teen Challenge for a year, which is a drug rehab center. He did a lot of rehabs. He didn't want that in his life either, so it was something that I underestimated the power of drugs and alcohol.
Oh yeah, when there is a wound inside of you, and if that wound is not dealt with, it will go back over and over and over again till that original wound is dealt with. But I know Jesus can do it.
Yeah.
So, so here you are. You're living in your second marriage. You have your 2 children.
Right.
Were they very aware of all that, or were they grown-ups by now?
No, they were 10. My son was 10, and my daughter was 13 when I met him, and he was like great, like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and then he would drink, and I would say, "You can't be here," and
The back and
forth.
The back and forth. Now, I think you told me once that this was the first time you ever felt love.
Yes.
What was that like for you to
was-
feel that real love?
Yeah, by another adult. I mean, I felt it with my children, but it's different from an adult, and it was just like, wow, this is what I've been missing my whole life, and it was just this constant sense of I belong, I'm loved, I'm cared for, and it was so craved. I was so needing it and wanting it.
How old were you at that time?
So that was 20 years ago.
20 years ago, wow. So here you are. If I can guess this right,
Yeah.
you don't know God's love really. you don't really understand that. You had a taste of it, but you don't know it because you didn't pursue it because God didn't love you in your mind. Now you have a man that loves you that is in and out of trouble.
Right.
Did you choose not to leave? Did you choose to start fighting for him? Or how did you work with that?
I was trying to keep it separate, him and my children, because I didn't want them to, when I started seeing the drugs and alcohol come into play, it would be binges. So he'd go out, I'd send him out of the house and he'd have to go somewhere else and not be around my child. I was trying to protect them from.
So you basically chose him and tried to protect your kids at the same time.
Try to have two.
So what finally ended up happening?
He was in and out of jail, and and he went back to Alaska, and we had long distance communications.
And it didn't work out.
Well, I did go to Alaska to live with him, and his heart is to be not drinking and drugging,
right.
But then he would keep falling back in and
back and forth.
So this time he was on ankle monitor, and which is something that is you can't drink or have any kind of alcohol or drugs.
You probably found some kind of substitute in the meantime
Yes.
to get by with. You see the substitute, you see everything happening.
Yeah.
Were you finally able to say, I need to do something different, this is not working?
Yeah.
So at that point when you did that, so what was the beginning that you started pursuing God?
Well, God was there, but I hadn't really encountered his love. It was more like religion, kind of, and communicating with God and him communicating with me, but it wasn't past all the walls up that were inside of me that I didn't know I had.
So probably not till you were by yourself
Right.
that you were able to start sorting that out. And there's so many people, and you're listening to this and like, is this for real? And it is, because I remember whatever it is, whatever wound is inside of you, whatever you're dealing with, it can just totally block you out. But there's good news, because Sherry found another way, and that just happened within the last couple of years. So I can hardly wait to share with you what God did to finally get a hold of Sherry, and that might be you too. Stay tuned. People tell me, Barb, I can't hear the voice of God. How can I hear his voice? I used to have a hard time with this too. I spent years learning the difference between my own head and God's voice. When I learned how, my life changed. Transformations that used to take me weeks now only take me seconds. I want to share with you everything I learned in those few years in only 3 hours at no charge. Go to our website, barbtv.org, and sign up for our free course titled Empower a Champion, Hearing the Voice of God. Many of you are struggling in life. There is hope. Our passion is for you to have breakthrough by clearly hearing the voice of God. Go to barbtv.org under the tab Empower a Champion and sign up today. When men's true love or women's true love fails, you end up right back where you were with all those wounds in the beginning of it. But Sherry De Wilde got us a third opportunity to find out the truth. So Sherry, was it actually that the mental institutions happened after the true love failed that you thought was the real deal?
Yes.
And he was a good guy. We're not saying he wasn't.
Right.
He just couldn't get out of it. So here you are. You're out of the mental institutions right now. When did God truly get a hold of you? How did that begin?
Actually, it was coming to Bethel that really changed my life.
How did you end up at Bethel to begin with?
That was the Lord really gently nudging me, because Tyson, my ex-husband, Heidi Baker had prophesied over him in Alaska and told him to go to Bethel. So when I met him, he asked me to look into it. So I looked into it for him, and I was like, oh, that would be a cool thing to do someday. And years later, the Lord's like, do you want to go to Bethel? And I was like, someday. And he's like, how about now? I was like, I don't think so. And he just kept, and he even put money in my bank account to confirm he wanted me to go. So
How much money was put in your bank account to convince you to come to Bethel?
Well, the down payment. He said, make a down payment. And I was like, no, that means I'd have to go, and I don't want to. I'm not ready. And I was like, I don't really have the money. And the Lord's like, look in your bank account. So the down payment was in my bank account.
But how much was it?
Oh, it was like $500.
But I wouldn't mind an extra 500 bucks, you know,
Right.
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So there's 500 in your bank. Now you feel you have to go.
Right, but it was online. I did the first year online.
So you start Bethel in school.
Yes.
You're not sure if you want it. You're thinking jobs, kids, whatever else.
Yeah.
What did it do for you? The Bethel School of Supernatural.
Yeah, it just like, yeah. Just I got to encounter the Lord's love for the first time, and just bit by bit receive His love. I had so many walls up, and just to encounter His love is just everything I ever wanted. So, yeah, he just...
How did you experience that love when it started coming in?
Actually, it was very hard. I felt like I wanted the love. They were teaching on encountering God's love, and I wanted it, but it was scary. It was really scary, and I like, Lord, just push through, just go ahead. And at first, it felt like you know, like in the vampire movies when they throw the holy water and the vampire sizzles.
I've never watched a vampire movie, but
It's what it felt like. It burned. It was burning.
It hurt.
It hurt.
Because those walls were your protection of not
Yes.
feeling and having no emotions and never allowing to get hurt again.
Yes.
And Jesus says, I cannot help you till those walls come down, because I want you to experience the real love and for you not to carry that rejection any longer.
Yeah.
He got true to you. He really did.
Did.
So there's so many viewers out there that want to have that breakthrough like you did.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, how did you get through? How can they let God into their life? Because they don't know how, like you didn't know how.
Right.
How do they do it?
Just say, yes, Lord, I'll let you in, and He'll find a way.
He'll find a way.
He'll find a way. I want to encounter your love. Just let Him know. I want to encounter your love.
So what does unconditional love feel like today?
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Were you able, when the Lord's love started coming into your life, which you had never experienced before like that, were you able to let go of the hurt your mom had done to you? How does that work?
It was a choice of forgiveness. And now I've been talking to my mother, and like almost every day. She's
Daily?
actually,
Like daily?
yeah.
Does she love today? Does she know how?
She's encountering the Lord's love. I thought I was helping her by praying for her. She broke her knee and wrist right when I first got here by falling. She's 80 years old, and I started doing her a favor by praying for her and, you know, helping her. In my mind, I was just doing it, and next thing you know, she's receiving healing and encountering the Lord's love for herself, and her emotions are getting healed, and the past is getting healed. Now she's a Christian, and she takes communion every day. Wow. And
amazing.
Experiencing total healing, spirit, soul, and body.
And are you hearing this? Wasn't there a story in the Bible when Job's friends just didn't treat him right, and they ended up getting sick? And then Job was told by God to pray for the friends, or he prayed for the friends. The friends were healed. And then after he forgave the friends, basically, he prayed for the friends. And then he himself was healed as well. Is that what you're talking about right now?
Yes, exactly.
So when you started praying for your mom, did that release more? Did that break things more off?
Yeah, little by little.
Little by little. So you're looking back at it today. What is it that you crave most in your life right now?
What is that I crave most?
Yes.
More God's love.
More God's love. So your mom is free, and I'm sure your mom was wounded herself by behaving the way she did, which was not it's not acceptable.
Right.
But that happened.
Yeah.
What was the Bible verse that you were able to hold on the very most? What gave you the most courage and strength going through such incredible obstacles in your life?
That He's always with me. He's always with us. He doesn't leave us. His love never fails. Never fails.
You know, I anticipated you were going to say that Bible verse. Isn't it Isaiah, beauty for ashes?
Yeah.
How has beauty for ashes changed for you?
Beauty for Ashes, like it's a total game changer. Right before Beauty for Ashes, Jesus' first time He preached was, I came to heal the brokenhearted. And when I first came to Bethel, I'm like realizing I can actually be healed of brokenheartedness. So just like many people are leaning into God for physical healing, I'm asking the Lord, can I be healed of I sense the brokenness inside of me. And He's been healing that as a physical thing, but the Beauty for Ashes is also He takes all the brokenness and makes it into a beautiful bouquet.
That is so beautiful. That is just so beautiful. Sherry,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us today and for being so vulnerable. And it starts with vulnerability. When you're willing to become vulnerable in front of the Lord and you're willing to start saying, I cannot do this alone, I need help. And sometimes we're pushed in that situation when we think we found the answer and it is not. That is what I pray for you right now. Make yourself vulnerable. Ask the Lord to come into your life. Accept the gift He has for you. And know that God never wanted you to be brokenhearted, but He will mend it, He will heal it, and He will help you. So I encourage you to say yes to Jesus and ask and invite Him in for help. Contact us, barbtv.org, or call 855-515-5550 for prayer. God loves you, and so do I.
I had become a closet alcoholic. I had lost my dream job, and I was just drinking 24/7, middle of the night, just to numb all of the pain. I vomited the blood. I ended up in the hospital, and in the hospital I was diagnosed with stage 4 cirrhosis. They gave me 1 to 3 years to live. I said, God, look, if you haven't turned away from me, help me.
What turned that around for you?